how much do you care about your lenses? Lenses are a long-term investment, right? When it comes to photography gear in general, relatively speaking, camera bodies come and they go, but presumably you're going to keep your lenses for many years. Good glass doesn't come cheap, so you want to maintain them, especially the optical clarity that you paid for in the first place. In this video, I'll discuss my approach to lens care and protection. Hi, Ray here. This is my NIKK0R Z 85mm f1.2 lens. As I've said in reviews, it's a lens that produces beautiful photos and video. Aside from arguments about whether it has 3D pop, whatever that may be, many who use it, including me, think it produces a very special look that's especially great for portraits. And it doesn't come cheap. In Canada, I paid $3,800, so I want to take care of it, along with every other lens that I own. Let's start by perhaps stating the obvious. Expensive and somewhat fragile lenses should be protected in the first place from extreme conditions like heavy rain, dirt, and mud, which should be reserved for advertising purposes. So you use protection, unless you're Morton Hilmer. I should mention here that I have a whole video on braving bad weather that I'll link here, and a brief mention of humidity-controlled cabinets for those living in tropical climates. Just say no to lens fungus, though I don't recommend Tinactin spray. So day-to-day lens care. Cleaning shouldn't be an afterthought. It goes without saying that dirty optics will affect image quality. Having said that, it's important to avoid cleaning your lenses unnecessarily, and I'll get back to that topic shortly. Modern glass is relatively hard and durable, and advanced coatings like fluorine coat, used on this 85mm 1.2 to specifically protect against grease and grime, as well as containing anti-reflective properties, are not immune to scratches and chemical damage. So it's important, in my view, to avoid touching and even cleaning lens elements as much as possible. In your cupboard and bag, front and rear lens caps are important, but, well, the front cap anyway. It doesn't help during use. Dirt is going to find its way onto your lenses, elements, and other components. The rear element, of course, is less prone to dust and smudges because it's protected once it's mounted. The lens barrel itself shouldn't be neglected. Lenses like the 85mm 1.2, and in fact all of Nikon's S-series lenses are, in particular, very well sealed against the elements. But not all lenses are weather sealed. No matter, the lens barrel should be kept clean so that dirt doesn't work its way into the focus and zoom mechanisms. This, I think, is more important with lenses where barrels extend as zoomed or focused. A combination of blowers and lens wipes get the job done. I'll get to blowers in a minute. I always carry at least a couple of lens wipes, especially when I expect rain, and I have a variety from your usual small cloths used for prescription glasses, like this one, to larger, soft microfiber cloths. I even carry regular kitchen towels for very wet conditions. There are also single-use paper wipes that come in handy. Which reminds me that all cleaning cloths, as I said, should be kept free of any abrasives, grit, sand, what have you. Cotton swabs come in handy to clean hard-to-reach spots, especially on cameras themselves, and the lens mount, contacts, etc. Incidentally, some guides recommend making lens cleaning solution from Regent-grade isopropyl alcohol. That's almost pure alcohol. But I rarely, if ever, need to resort to any kind of solution on the glass elements, and I'll explain why shortly. In brief, the idea is to remove as much dirt and dust as possible from the lens with blower and or soft bristled brush. Lens cleaning solution can be applied to a lens tissue or cleaning cloth, or use dedicated wet wipes. Use a circular motion to gently remove oil, fingerprints, and other gunk from the lens surfaces as you work from the center outward. Rocket or bulb blowers were once the norm for removing dust and grit. These, at least for me, have been mostly replaced with chargeable electronic blowers. I've reviewed a bunch of these on the channel over the last year or so, and I now have one in every workspace in the studio, this gear and archive room, and always in my bag. They're much more efficient than any rocket blower. and I highly recommend them. Check out the video description for more info. But whatever brush you use, keep your fingers and the grease your skin produces away from the bristles. So really, that's all there is to lens cleaning. As for protection, well, we're about to enter contested territory, so fair warning, if you don't believe in protective filters on your lenses, this would be the time to click away. However, if you're willing to hear an argument in favor of such filters, bear with me. As noted earlier, one of the common culprits of lens element damage is cleaning, especially if the cloth or whatever you use is not absolutely clean and free from abrasives. So that's the first thing. I mentioned in my original filter advocacy video, I guess you could call it, how I often destroyed lens filters over the course of one mountaineering expedition because wind-driven rock dust, often mixed with snow and rain, when wiped from the filter, turned it into a diffusion filter. So who needs to buy a $200 black mist filter? In those conditions, it doesn't matter if the cleaning cloth is clean to begin with. So, while the mountains and any gritty environment like beaches are extreme cases, the caution remains. How much are you willing to chance the front, and to a lesser degree rear, element of your expensive lenses? As in my original video, I'm not stressing protection from direct impact as much as what is more often cumulative abrasion of the lens element. Despite videos demonstrating that, indeed, if you drop a weighted spike onto a lens, the filter, front element, all the elements, and indeed the camera itself will be impaled on the spike, guaranteed. So aside from tests designed to support an existing bias, anyone can perform the experiment I have over a period of 50 years. But at some point, any filter will show signs of wear. It will become, as I say, misty. I have a box of old filters here to prove the long-term results of that experiment. This may not be scientific, but certainly field tested. So which filters to use? Over the years, I've used a number of brands, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago, my trusted salesperson at the camera shop that I frequent recommended Hoya protection filters. He said their coatings were superior to many other brands. I took his word for it and bought a 67mm filter for my NIKK0R 85mm 1.8S lens. The full name of these filters is the Hoya Pro 1 Digital Protector, and they also make a UV version, but I'm referring specifically to this clear filter, which Hoya says will not affect the color balance or performance of your lenses in the slightest, unquote. And that's been my impression, despite claims to the contrary and comments to my last video. I've added these Hoya filters to most of the lenses that I've bought since then, including for a couple of third-party Z-mount lens reviews, with the exception of the 400mm 4.5 VRS. That lens has a 95mm thread size, and the only filter available to me at the time was a Nikon Neutral Color NC, which I took a chance on. It's an excellent filter too. Cost me $190 Canadian. So how good are these Hoya filters? Can you really trust them to protect your expensive lenses without degrading image quality? Again, let's compare with and without. Recently, a viewer asked if I might repeat the testing in my original filter video using a higher resolution camera like Z7, Z8, Z9 and telephoto lenses from 200mm and up because, quote, they found very visible differences using B and W, to my surprise. I presume they meant B plus W from Schneider-Kreuznach. So I have B plus W in 77, 0, 10 UV. So let's take a look. I'm limited to the long end of the 70-200 f2.8, since the longer lens I own is the 400 4.5, and that has a 95mm, and I have a Nikon filter on that, which I've compared in the review of that lens. Okay, so let's have a look. Now, first off, these are not going to win any prizes in the landscape division, but they should suffice to compare these filters. So right off the bat here, the first one that we're looking at, there's no filter at all on here, on this 70-200 f2.8 VRS lens, mounted on the Nikon Z8. The second one here, we have the Nikon, this is called the NC filter. And finally, B plus W 010 UV filter. Okay, so let's take a closer look. First of all, we'll compare the no filter shot with the Nikon NC filter. Let's have a look. So this is a very hot day. It's about 10 a.m. so there's going to be quite a bit of heat haze in the air, but I think it's pretty equal, so this gives us a chance to look here between this no filter shot and the Nikon NC filter shot. Look over here. I think this is a good thing to compare here, this microwave tower, whatever it is, and these houses over here. If we look at these treetops again, I don't think it tracked the bird. It was manual focus, but we can look at the tops of these trees here and compare. So I think we can see a little bit more contrast without the filter. And in terms of color, I think it's pretty close. Seeing the light blue hazy sky here. Not too much difference. If anything, there might be a bit more contrast here. Let's compare now between the no filter, and we can tell that's the no filter by our bird flying through. And on this side, the B plus W, this is the 010 UV filter. So let's have a look here. Once again, comparing. I think there's more of a difference this time. Perhaps just a little bit softer here. And again, this is with the Nikon Z6 camera. Let's have a look at the houses here and compare these lines here that of course are slightly out of focus. These were all shot at f6.3, 1/250th of a second. On this side, I don't think it's quite so clear, and I'm having a hard time seeing that much difference. Yeah, definitely a slightly different color here, but this is not something that would really bother me. Would this affect your work? Let me know in the comments. And let's compare prices. I've quoted the price of the Nikon clear filter, $190 Canadian to protect my $4,200 400mm lens. The 82mm Hoya protector I bought to protect my $3,800 85mm 1.2 lens cost around 120 Canadian. So I suppose one could say that these filters are cheap compared to the lenses. But that would be comparing apples to oranges, wouldn't it? Yes, there are cheap, as in low quality filters out there. Personally, I've never cheaped out on filters. The Hoyas, though, are very reasonably priced and high quality. In fact, I'm looking through Hoya lenses right now. I didn't expressly order Hoya lenses for my glasses. I was surprised when my last prescription arrived at the optician that they were indeed Hoya lenses. So I have 3 pairs of glasses with Hoya lenses. My regular everyday glasses are mainly for distance. Since I had my original cataract clouded lenses replaced in my eyes, and those incidentally are made by Johnson & Johnson. I had no idea they made anything other than baby powder, but they baby my eyes. So I have a real mix of lenses between me and my photographic subjects these days. There's my prescription sunglasses as well, my computer glasses especially, which are optimized prescription-wise for distance to the monitor and then the keyboard. So all these prescriptions are progressive, with the main distance, then the lower section for close-up. What I'm getting at here is the fact that I'm now looking through Hoya lenses when I'm making these videos and photos that have, in most cases, been filtered through first, a Hoya protective filter, and no one's complaining. Other than people who just think my photos and videos suck, whatever combination of optical elements they've been captured through. So you're looking through a Hoya filter, and of course the lens it's attached to. Full disclosure, I've added a black mist vanity filter too. I'm not promoting Hoya over any other filter in particular. I'm simply discussing my experience with the filters and, of course, lenses right here. When it comes to moving pictures, well, it's unlikely you've ever seen a film that was made without filters. So I'd say filmmakers have a different view of the filter debate. Without doing a deep dive into the subject of video, that video is coming, we most often make use of neutral density filters to control exposure, to maintain shallow depth of field, for instance, while keeping a correct shutter angle, the 180-degree rule. 1/50th of a second, for instance, when shooting at 24 frames per second. Then cinematographers will also add things like black mist filters according to the actor's contract requirements. There's no contract here, mind you. Or they'll even use lenses with character, old lenses. So maybe this whole filter degradation argument is more the territory of bird photographers who obsess over feather detail. And I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers here. I get it. I've photographed a few birds in my time. Okay, so personally, I use a variety of ND and effect filters in my work, both for photos and video, in no particular order. 100mm square filters with holders. This means the NIKK0R system for me. These hold a circular polarizer as well as slide-in 100mm NDs and graduated NDs, etc. I also use screw-in circular filters. Then we have cinema filters, with the most popular size being 4 by 5.65 inches, and they fit into matte boxes like the small rig mini matte boxes that I use. Again, NDs will come in different strengths like ND4, ND8, ND16, ND32, ND64. And quality filters at this size are expensive. They're often over $200 a piece, and more on that in a moment. Now, this whole debate, as mentioned in my last video on this subject, the refrain is always the same. Why would I put cheap glass in front of my expensive lenses? I saw this comment again a couple of days ago on Facebook. Exact words. It just circulates like a lot of other flotsam and jetsam on social media. So at the risk of repeating myself, who said anything about cheap glass? But the competition in this market, really, it's produced some very good glass lately at a price that itself would have made me suspicious in the past. So how do you know if the glass is inexpensive but not cheap? I guess testing is the best way to find out. And I've been trying to do just that. So for instance, I've recently had the opportunity to try some cinema filters from K&F Concept. They fit into my small rig matte box, which also allows me to add another filter underneath in the threaded adapter. I discussed the results with a documentary filmmaker recently, who is a fan of these K&F cinema filters, and he doesn't hesitate to use them on his productions, and he gets no complaints from any of the crew or, most importantly, his clients. For me, the only time protective filters come off is in the studio. Though, to be honest, when I do leave them on, I don't see any difference. My advice is yes, don't spare expense when it comes to putting filters on your expensive glass. But these days, that means making sure the filters are made from top quality shot optical glass or equivalents. For instance, the K&F Concept filters are made with AGC optical glass made in Japan. The Asahi Glass Company Limited has been manufacturing glass since it was established in Amagasaki, Hyogo Prefecture in 1907. Today, their products cover a vast range of uses from the automotive industry, LCD, smartphone, and tablet screens. Maybe you're looking through one to watch this. They also make glass coatings, and the list's endless. And they make digital camera lenses. So yeah, the next time you see or hear someone repeating this canard about lens filters, painting them as some kind of scam that camera stores engage in to add cost to your lenses, yeah, that one shows up as often as the rest. Keep in mind that filters worth the price are made via the same rigorous processes as the lens glass they're made to protect, enhance, or otherwise modify. In fact, made often by the same manufacturers. They have the same kinds of advanced coatings, and sometimes they have coatings that a cheaper lens doesn't. So they can actually improve the performance of a cheaper lens. Okay, that's my final argument for the intelligent use of filters. A lot of imaging would be worse or not possible without, and a protective filter is inexpensive insurance against damage. I'll add info on lens cleaning supplies in the description, including those electronic blowers, and I'll add a list of lens cleaning products with purchase links. Some of those may be affiliate links, so if you buy via those links, I'll get a small commission at no extra cost to you. But that'll help keep this channel afloat. Remember, a clean, unblemished lens is a better lens, and I hope this video served as a useful guide to keeping them that way. If you think so, please do give it the old thumbs up, and if this is your first visit to the channel, we'd love to see you again. So please do consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. In the meantime, take care, cheers, We'll see you later.